I remember my mother. She seemed to have to justify the fact that I was just an actor. Artista lang, you see. She would say, "Ba, professor din yan sa kolehiyo, nagtuturo yan sa San Beda, nagtuturo pa yan sa UE. At saka nagtatrabaho sa gobyerno yan. Yan ang corporate secretary ng ACFA." At that time, when I used to tell my mother, "Ma, you don't have to say those things anymore. Tama na sa akin yun eh." Now, ano naman ang sama ng maging artista? Probably, dito sa atin, ang iniisip ng mga tao, kasi ang nangyayari dito sa atin, nalabas lang sa pelikula, nakatungtong sa entablado minsan, akala ng tao, artista na. Hindi, yun, maaaring nakasali nga, pero hindi pa artista yun. Ang problema nga is binibilang na nila yun sa mga artista. Para sa akin, sa pag-aartista ko ngayon, pinaghandaan ko ang pag-aartista ko eh. Probably, I prepared for it with as much seriousness and effort as somebody who prepared for his own profession as an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer.
Boys, mag-iingat kayo ha. Sir. Mga mamamatay tao yan. Dala ba lubid?
Yes, sir, ito.
Bigay kita din mamaya na.
Tama mo.
At naman yung ginawa natin sa Camp Rizal.
Oo, sir.
Ganun ang gagawin natin. Teddy, kayo mga bata mo sa bandang kaliwa. Makit kayo ron, ha?
Yes, sir.
Jeremy, sa bandang kanan kayo. Doon, makit kayo sa taas, ha?
Yes, sir.
Lahat ng malalaking boses, sisigaw. Yung malilit, hindi na. Tingin sa akin, handa ang mga silbato nyo, ha? Pag-senyas ko, sabay-sabay. Ha? Mag-iingat kayo, ha? Maganda. Sige, let's go.
Among my activities in Ateneo were athletics and the Dramatic Guild, which is called the Ateneo Players Guild. Now, in the Ateneo Players Guild, took part in a lot of stage plays, and also the Chesterton Evidence Guild, where we would go on the air doing radio plays. And one of my classmates was Toto Adriana, and he had an older brother, V. Lamberto Avellana, national artist, and we used to do radio plays over DZFM, and that's where I did my first soap opera in Tagalog. Lina Flor's Sining ng Buhay. Sining ng Buhay, Lina Flor. That was with Rebecca Gonzalez, Rosa Aguirre, Mike Aguirre, and Lupita. This is the comedian. And the three Trinidad brothers, Ferdy, Corky, and now Noel of the Champuy duo. And in the mornings, I had another soap opera called Pitong Pasikat with Lupito and Lupita. And my leading lady was Celia Flor, again also with Rosa Aguirre and Mike Ansures, and the three Trinidad brothers. And when I finally joined the staff of DZFM, my designation was radio producer announcer. We would prepare the scripts for all radio programs. In DZFM, Coco Trinidad insisted that there be scripts for every program. Every program. We would have to listen and time every record that would be played, so that when you prepare a script, you know that you write the name of the piece, and then you put the time of the record. You would write the introduction, and you would know how much playing time there is from the first note until the first vocals, or the first note of the introduction until the chorus begins. My preference then was more for special events. More for special events. I like to cover arrivals and happenings. I remember very distinctly well, you see, since I was a product of a Catholic school, Catholic college, it was not yet a university at the time, I was the one assigned to cover all the religious events. Christmas, New Year, Seven Last Words on Good Friday, the Mass on Easter Sunday. Those were all my assignments. So I couldn't get free on holidays. One very big event that I remember was the arrival in the Philippines of Cardinal Spellman of New York. Again, there was a big throng at the airport. And I was still relatively new at the time, you know. And, but my technicians were all veterans. And my technician, I think at the time, was Piping Borromeo. And he said, Vic, I have prepared an extra long cable for you. When that plane stops, you have enough cable to run through this crowd to the ramp and climb up the ramp so that when that door opens, if Cardinal Spellman is there, you put this microphone to his mouth, interview him, and you show this big, you know, the banner saying DZFM. And we were all there. I was looking at all the other announcers. We were all standing in a line, and I was looking at their cables. He says, look, I won't show the cable, but I was looking at their cables if I could see if any of them also had long cables. I could see their cables. It did not show. My cable was being hidden. I wondered if any of them had hidden cables also that would reach. When that ramp was there and the door opened and I saw Cardinal Spellman, I rushed to the crowd up and I interviewed him. I knelt down, kissed his ring, and I told him, welcome, Cardinal Spellman, to the Philippines. May I ask you a few words before you step on Philippine soil down this Philippine Airlines plane? And he said, and I didn't realize this, you know, but I don't know how long, how much later, but this same technician told me, Vic, manood ka sa Avenue. Bakit? Basta manood ka. And I watched the movie. I don't remember what movie it was. And when came the news, the eyes and ears of the world, you know, eyes and ears of the world, Cardinal Spellman versus the Philippines. And when there was a close-up of Cardinal Spellman, when the ramp opened, I was running up the ramp, you know, when the door opened, and I was there with DZFM interviewing him. Boy, that was fun. And my very first time, another one, this was very significant because this was my first time to cover a president. This was the late President Elpidio Quirino at Malacanang. He used to hold fireside chats, I believe, once a month. And my boss, he was my very first boss, Coco Trinidad, briefed me and he said, Vic, remember, you are an announcer for DZFM. That is the station of the office of the president. Don't you forget that. He said, because all the stations will cover this. So when the president enters the room, you walk up to him. You greet him and tell him, Mr. President, I am representing your station. Please take your cue from me. You tell him that very clearly. So that he will not listen to any other, because he says you are along with all the other announcers who are veterans and they will try to take over. But the president will listen to you because you are DZFM, the people station under the office of the president. So he says, I'm warning you, one of them, a good friend of yours, a good friend of mine, will try to steal the show from you. And this guy had a very big voice. He was a good friend of mine, actually, huh? Very, very good friend of mine. And when the president came out, I met him right away. I was carrying the microphone with the banner and said, good evening, Mr. President. I introduced myself. I am representing your station. Mr. President, please take your cue from me and from no one else. I represent your station. Yes, yes, Mr. Silayan said. Oh, very nice. Then we, all the announcers, we got together and said, we have a 30-second introduction. All agreed? And we all agreed. No, 1 minute, 60-second introduction. Is that agreed? All agreed. Anyway, at 59, we all started our introductions. If it was 7:59, we were all on the air giving our introductions. So at 8 o'clock sharp, the president would speak. Boy, I was really turning away because this guy's voice is really so big. If you don't turn away from him, his voice is what will be heard over the air on your station. So I was turning away and making my own introductions. It was, we were, you know, we all had our watches, we synchronized and we were watching. And about 59:25, he comes out with his booming voice. The next voice you will hear will be that of His Excellency President Elpidio Quirino, and he makes a big cue like this to the President. And the President nodded to me and said, he did not. And since he had said that, he could not keep talking after he said, the next voice you will hear will be that of the President. So he had a 30-minute blank silence. And all of us kept talking for another 30 seconds until we all said, almost simultaneously, the next voice you'll hear will be that of His Excellency President Elpidio Quirino. And he came in. And we all smiled at each other. Luko ka. That was fun. I remember those days.
Nakapagtataka ka, Renato. Parang walang halaga sa iyo ang kaligayahan ng buhay.
Ang sino mang nilikha, Nornita, ay walang hanap kundi ang ligaya. Pagkat yan ay bahagi ng buhay. Ngunit, alalahanin mong pinsang pagkating. Ayokong masimbatan niya ako.
Para kang hindi lalaki. Bakit hindi natin tapatin ang katotohanan? Bakit ipagpapakasakit natin ang luwalhating sa palagay kinauukol sa atin? Ang pagkakasal ay likas lamang sa tao, Renato. Ngunit, kasalanan ko ba kung bakit ka?
Ang pangarap ko ay pag-ibig mo. Araw-gabi ay luluha dahil sa'yo. Maghihintay kung ang pagsuyo'y magiging totoo. Bakit mo kaya di pa napapansin na mahal kita at ikaw ang mali? Sa puso ko'y di magmamaling ang pagmamahal sa'yo.
When I started as a movie actor, parang sinuwerte ko. Nag-umpisa ko, ang shooting ko, puro day off ko, mga weekends, saka holidays eh. Dahil gusto kong gawing artista. Ang ginagawa ng direktor, sabi nga, i-schedule na lang kita pag wala kang trabaho. Ganun nangyari sa akin. Sinuwerte ko. Kasi gusto niya akong gawing artista. Kilala na niya ako sa radyo, sa legitimate stage, ni Director Avellana. Gusto lang niyang mailabas niya ako sa pelikula noon. This is what he said. I'll take you to Doña Sisang. I'll introduce you to her. Now, Doña Sisang had also been a friend of my father from way back. They were together on the board of directors of the old NARIC before the war. And so she knew my father and she said, oh bakit papapalitan ng pangalan ito? Sabi niya, kilala naman yan sa radyo. Vic Silayan na yan. Kung ako kilala kong pangalan yan Sabi niya, ngayon ko lang nalaman na alak pala ito ni Hilarion. Sabi niya, hindi problema yan. Gawin natin artista, pero huwag na natin palitan ng pangalan. Huwag nang binyagan pa ng panibago para yung mga tagahanga sa radyo sumunod na sa pelikula. Na alam nila, siya rin yun. So that's where I started off with my first picture directed by Bert. Hook sa Bagong Pamumuhay. Which starred Jose Padilla Jr., Pempe, Celia Flor, that's his leading lady, and the other actors were Leroy Salvador, Tony Santos, Joseph de Cordova, all top-notch actors. And that's where I got my baptism of fire. Vic, sabi sa akin ni Bert, roll up your sleeves. Nakapatig kami. Roll up my sleeves. Para sabi niya, mas masculine. Dahil alam mo, bata pa ako, 1953. 24 years old. Okay. Medyo kung athletic pa tayo nun eh. Mabilis ang takbo. Hawak-hawak yung pagpapait ko. Takbo na kami ngayon. Kinuha na ako, rolling action! Tumatakbo kami yun. Pagdating dun sa mark namin, dive ako. Graba yun eh. Doon sa may harap ng gate. Dive, siguro mahigit 1 metro sumasadsad ako nung sa graba. Nakaganon ako, shhh! Tapos pagdating doon sa kanan, barilan. Kat! Naku, tinilang ko yung braso ko. Itong mga ito, walang balat yan eh. Ito, wala rin balat eh. Natalupan. Tawanan sila. Okay. Few days later, Vic, baka gusto mo manood ng Reyes. Okay, Reyes. Sige, Reyes. Sama ka sa projection room. Madali, maliit yung projection room, maliit lang. Siksikan kami na sa loob. Sige, Vic, malapit na. Dumating na yung Reyes. Ito na. Tinitingnan ko yung screen. Hindi ko makilala, para akong langgam sa liit dun sa screen eh. Tumatakbo kami. Dumayb, halos hindi ko makilala, sad ako. Putok-putok lang ba rin, hindi ko makilala sa liit. Long shot pala yun eh. Noong ko lang nalaman yun, walang balat yung braso ko, yun lang pala gagawin. Yun ang first shot ko. Nabinyagan ako. The earlier part of my career, more roles that I played were Batman roles.
Bakit ka nagulat? Hindi mo ba ako kilala?
Kasi biglang-bigla naman ang pagkalabas niyo. Akala ko kung sino. Sino kayo?
Ba't ka nagmamadali? Ayaw ba man lamang makipag-usap sa akin?
Nagmamadali ho ako. Dadaan pa ako sa butike.
Gusto mo naman ako. Ito lamang ang pinakamaganda kong pagkakataon upang makausap ka ng sarili namin.
Meron ho naman akong bahay. At malaya naman kayong makadadalaw sa ibig ninyo. Paraanin mo ako. Huwag ko sing nakitipitigil niyo ako.
Hindi naman kausap ko, hindi ako basta iniiwan.
Baka ho may makakita sa atin eh. Tayong dalawa lamang nakikirang tignan.
Oo. Alam mo namang walang marami nagdadaan dito, sila nasa trabaho. Ang kinatatakutan mo eh, si Edong, ano?
Oho. Alam naman yung malapit na kami ikasal. Nag-iingat lamang ako.
Kaya hindi makakasal. Ikaw ay para sa akin sa mabuti sa masama. Naintindihan mo yun?
Aba, senyorito.
I think that's the type that made the hostesses scream when they see you.
Okay, fellas? Okay yan. Saan? Huwag mo kang kikibuin. Carlos, ang anak mo, no? Ang akala ko'y nagkaroon na tayo ng pagkakaunawaan. Pinayagan ako ni Dato dahil na manisip ng pelos dito sa mga dagat nito. Ngayon ay sumipunta. Sige, Luis, huwag ka magkakamali. Kapagkat lalabanan kita, hindi ako uuro.
how do you develop character? When I develop a character, I have to study the person as a person, and then in relation to the other characters he immediately talks to, or the other characters that talk about him. Then I talk to the actors that portray these other characters, so that we are in consonance, so that there is nothing in disagreement, no? We agree, we talk, we imagine backgrounds that are not provided. Why do we talk this way to each other? Why is the language we use with each other like this? It does not say so sometimes in the script. Sometimes the motivation is there. Sometimes it is not, but it is there. We are wondering why. So we say, oh, shall we agree on a reason for this kind of an attitude toward each other? So we choose some incident. Let's imagine something happened, all right, 10 years ago, or you want to go further. Depending on if we're brothers, let's go back to childhood. An incident that, as I imagine, an incident happened in our childhood that made us feel this way towards each other. Otherwise, all you have is a skeleton. All you have is a, shall we say, the usual burlesque character. He's a captain, so they make him stand straight, and and he is not a human being. It's not a particular individual. You feel the situation. You have to feel it. When there is anguish, that's what you try to feel. How this man, this particular person that you're putting together, would react in the situation. How would he? In contrast to another person in the same situation. And then that's how you feel in mannerisms, things like that. Now in the local movies you can't. You don't have the script to work with. Of the more than 300 pictures I've made, I suppose more than half of that are without scripts. When did they start using scripts? Only recently. There were no scripts before. Others used to write the sequence guide on the palara. Aba, yung iba sa napkin. Dahil ito nga, itong linya mo. Maganda linya. Na ito sabihin mo. Tapos ito sagot mo. Yeah. Tapos ito naman, ito. Pakinggan nga natin. Hindi hata masyado ko. Palitan mo ito. Yeah. Okay. Pakinggan natin. Yeah. Baguhin mo ito, sagot mo. Okay. Alright, light it up. Ready? Makeup check lahat. Pakinggan natin ulit, Okay. Ito na, may bago pa tayo sa. Yung original, isa pa, sa pansin mo. Yung port line mo, ganito sabihin mo. Okay. Pakinggan natin. Rehearsal ulit. Okay. Places. Lights. Okay. Camera ready? Alright. Roll it. Rolling na. Okay. Teka muna. Original lines, Action! Kung stupido artista, di hilo na. Kanya nga, pagdating dito ng American Picture, gulat sila sa artistang Pilipino. Gulat sila talaga. Ang quick study. Boy, you do a real quick study. Yeah, gulat sila talaga. The character in the movies is much shallower. It's more of a generalization. I must admit my screen performance does not have the depth that I am able to give to a stage character that I portray. Unless I am provided with a script way ahead and I have an opportunity to study the script and throw lines with my fellow actors and discuss our role, each other's roles. It is only the last two major ones that I had the script. Karnal and Kisat Mata.
Sandali lang ho. Si Mila ho.
Umalis ka na. Sasabihin ko na lang dumaan ka.
Kailangan ko siya makausap.
Tumawag ka na lang.
Nang.
Pasensya ka na, wala ko may tutulong.
Nang. Sinak na lukin manin. Patasam!
Kasya na!
Ukininam! Nutulungan ni Mila. Di ka makarawar dito yung asibibyan.
In Kisap Mata, it was not just simply authoritarian. I think it was insane possession.
Magpasensya ka na, Noel, ha? Nakakaya sa'yo, eh.
We made him appear to have moments of lucidity and moments of derangement.
Masakit sa kanya. Yan ang hirap sa inahin, eh. Di matigil ang pagputak. Nasira tuloy ang honeymoon nyo. Di bale, sa mga bata naman katulad nyo, eh. Araw-araw eh honeymoon, eh, di ba? Kaya mag-good time kayo. Ba't di kayo lumabas? Lalabas nga ako kami. Saan kayo pupunta? Sa amin, ho.
Onyang ako na.
There were times when he would be okay, you know, normal. That's why I felt that I could keep people scared that way, because when he was normal, they wouldn't know when he would suddenly erupt like a volcano. It was like sitting on a powder keg. Well, I would precede his outbursts with a slight motion towards his forehead to indicate that a headache was going to start and that he would lose, he would go into temporary insanity. He'd go this way, just that. And pretty soon, that was a signal, he would soon just, you know, just scare people.
Well, dito malapit sa ospital. Tumakas ako, hindi ko na alam gagawin ko eh. Baka abutan ako ng tatang.
Sino ba yun? Ewan ko, siguro baka asawa ni Mrs. Manalansan. Eh, bakit pagdating ko dito, wala na siya? Ewan ko.
Many stage actors who have not gone through a transition from stage acting to something very how would you say it, intimate, like film acting, have a tendency to overact. While in stage acting, you should act. I feel that in film acting, you should not give the impression you're acting at all. They ask me, do you feel it? Of course I feel it during rehearsals. Maybe first few performances. But after that, you don't have to feel it. It is not necessary for you to feel it. It is necessary for you to feel it during rehearsals so you can determine what you will do. That is what helps you create your movements, your business, whatever actions you would like the character to have. And it is during the rehearsals that I actually feel and try to feel what the character feels. And while I feel, this is when I try to think up and I try to be creative and think of what this particular character would do, would think, would act. This is when I come up with his business, with his mannerisms. This is when I try to put more flesh on the skeleton of this particular character. Now, during the performance, possibly in the first performance, the first few performances, yes, I may still feel that. But after a while, there is no need for the actor to feel it in every performance. He knows already what he's going to do because of his technique. He doesn't have to feel. He can project without feeling through his motions.
Hindi mo lamang nalalaman, Rita. Noong kayo ni Carding ay nakarap sa dambana, noong pa'y nanaghili na ako sa kanya. Noong pa'y nagkasala na ako sa aming pagiging magpinsan, pagkat simula pa no'y lihim na kitang hinangad.
Hindi ko akalain, Renata, na nasa iyo lamang pala ang luwa nating hinahanap ng aking puso. Ngayon ko lang na maitutuloy na lubos ang aking kaligayahan.
I believe that what is more interesting to an audience in a kiss is the reaction of the woman. So that somehow I try to manage my movement so that it is her face that faces the camera. So that it is her expression that is projected on the screen. That's what I try to do as often as possible. Although I try also, when I feel that it is necessary or important, to show that there is that contact between the lips before I move to a point where concentration is more on the woman's reaction to the kiss. I am thinking of the motivation. Is it a malicious response that I expect from her? Or is it one of tenderness? Is it one of caring? Or is it one of sadness? Is she going to lose me? Or is it one of looking forward to a life of happiness together? These things I have constantly think about these things. So I have no time for this foolishness that they're talking. Oh, ikaw naman, kissing Simba naman yan. As I said, to me, it's full of bull.
Sandali lang, Lida.
Hindi ko gusto makipag-usap sa'yo.
Lakad. Magugulan mo ako ng pansin. Lida, alam mo namang malaki ang pagmamahal ko sa iyo. Ako'y handang magpakasal siya kahit na anong oras. Papakasal ka sa akin, hindi ba? Sumagot ka.
Oo, Bobby. Makakasal ako sa'yo. Kuya na gusto mo.
Ganyan ang gusto kong marinig sa'yo. Bayamat kayo din ay asikasuhin ko ng tungkol sa ating kasalat. Ako na rin ang masasabi sa papa, ha?
Oo, mahal ko.
Bigyan mo ako ng sakali.
Professional again has many definitions here. Here, some stars appear on time and they're referred to as professionals. To me, they're prompt, but they're not yet professionals. They're prompt because they show up on time. But being professional, something else in addition, that is only a small fraction of being a professional.
Well, I felt it was necessary to have declared martial law because the situation here was so wild, uncontrollable. I think we were headed for some kind of a revolution.
Oh, yeah?
That would have been very bad. I mean,
What kind of revolution?
Well, it would have meant some kind of a civil war. You know, you wouldn't believe the number of firearms that were surrendered when martial law was declared and required the surrendering of all firearms. It's unbelievable. Almost everybody had a gun.
The politicians have their own armies, I heard.
Each one had an army of his own, a private army of his own, not only the politicians, but the oligarchs, the very rich who had some economic interests to protect.
Do you think there exists political prisoners here?
No, not anymore. We don't have any political prisoners.
A professional has tried at least to train himself in doing what he is supposed to do. Now, he may have done that through readings, through efforts to improve himself, studying others, observation.
Ang impression ng mga tao, napakadaling maging artista. Pag nakakita ng artista, Vic, pwede ba itong maging artista kahit napapakain natin sa buhaya? That is the standard question. Akala nila ganun kadali eh. On the contrary, napakahirap eh. Huwag na natin sabihin yung pag-artista eh. Huwag na yung acting, ha? Technical aspect na lang. Huwag na fine emoting. Yung pagtatapat na lang sa ilaw, pagtatapat sa marker mo. Kung hindi ka marunong, nasasyado ka ng nasasyado. Pag kinukunan ka ng camera at hindi ka nakatapat sa ilaw mo, eh, kawawa ka eh. Hindi rirehistro mukha mo sa pelikula. Hindi nalalaman ng tao yun. Pag kumikilos ka na, lumakad ka, pag hinto mo, hindi ka nakatapat dun sa marker mo na eksakto, konting diferensya lang, wala na. Pag kilos mo, natapat ka sa shadow ng kausap mo, goodbye, agrabyado ka na. Eh, ganyan, medyo na ganyan ka. Sa pelikula, very sensitive yan, lalo na sa color. Malaking diferensya. Ngayon, war picture. Sinabi siya, tatakbo ka mula rito hanggang doon. Sa pagitan nito, may 4 na sasabog. Yung sasabog na yung ganun kataas. Eh, ang mga pasabog dyan, kung matatapatan mo, eh, delikado rin. Sapagkat yung sabog, eh, aabot sa bubong yung pagsabog nun, eh. Ang ginagawa niya sa pagpasabog, kung minsan hinuhukay yung lupa, naglalagay ng supot ng plastic na punong-puno ng gasolina. Para pag nagkabit yung kuryente, pag init niyan, pagsabog, kanya may gasolina para kita yung flame, eh. Mapula. Bukod pa rin sa pagpaputok. Eh kung hindi mo tinatandaan yan at nagkamali ka, nasa tapat kanyang pagputok. Eh hindi medyo ata madali eh. Yung mahuhulog sa gdana na lang, sabihin pa na magpapakain daw sa buhaya. Kailangan magtiyaga ka eh. Unang-una, ilan ang naghahangad na maging artista. Magdadaan ka sa pagka-extra, beat player, o extra with lines, tapos beat. Maswerte, eh, hindi naman niya araw-araw may tawag ka. Paano kang sisikat na gano'n? Ilan ang kalaban mo? Anong chances ng isa? You see, there are many times in the life of an actor when he cannot make a choice. You're dependent on what the producers want you to do. Especially when you're already running out of Mazuma. The folding stuff. When the cabbage is already becoming very scarce, what else are you going to do? I mean, being realistic. No more folding stuff. That's it. You play this role. Ah? What role is that? I'm glad I have not gone so low as to show my genitals in the movies.
Sid. Yes, of course. This picture. Is this the celebrated painting?
Yes.
What a strange picture.
Do you know what he calls it?
Yes.
Retrato del artista como Filipino.
Portrait of the artist as Filipino. But why? The scene is not Filipino. What does your father mean? A young man carrying an old man on his back. Behind them, a burning city.
The old man is our father.
Yes, I recognize his face.
And the young man is our father also. Our father when he was young.
What? Yes. Yes, of course.
He has painted himself as he is now, and as he used to be in the past.
But this is magnificent.
Well, there was a time some friends of mine who were considered knowledgeable referred to me as a working actor. Now I am an unemployed actor at the moment, for the past 6 months at least. I noticed that in the life of an actor there are some months where you've got floods and sometimes very long summers. That is why my constant advice to the younger striving actors who ask me is always, you're starting out as an actor, start on a small business. I don't care if it's a shoe shine stand or a news stand or whatever. I don't care if it's a barbecue stand or whatever. Start one. A time will come when the income from that you can count on. If the income from that business becomes big enough so that you can live on that alone, then you can afford to be selective. Only then. There are only moments when I have tinges of regret. Moments when I am so down financially, that's all. But not really. Because I think as an actor,
there are people who appreciate me. And these are people who know what an actor is, what acting is and should be.